All right, so let's say we want to convert this problem into randomly generated question, okay? I'm going to go to the create question that you can see on your part, and I'm going to go to the quizzes and then pick a name for that. So say, call it question 1. Once you get in there, there are 3 parts: the problem statement, the solution, and the question parts. So first of all, I'm going to copy the problem statement over here. And as you can see, there are some variables that are constant in this solution. I want to define it as a variable instead of a number. So I'm going to define it as L, right? Yep. And then I would convert that into a variable. So by clicking on this icon here, it is going to be converted into a variable. For instance, I would define it from 1.5 meter to 2 meter with the increment of 0.1. And I'm going to test that for 1.6. This is the value that I have the manual solution for. The next property is going to be P. And again, I'm going to convert that into a variable, say from 15 to 25 with the increment of 1. And I'm going to test that for 18. Same is true for B. So we are going to define it as a variable and also for H. And for B, it is going to be from 100 to 150 with the increment of 10, and we're going to test that for 120 millimeter. And H is going to be from 250 to 350 with the increment of 20, and then say we want to test that for 280 millimeter. All right. Now we have defined all of those variables. So I can add the image. So I'm going to upload that, and this is the problem statement. All right. I need to change this constant into B and H, but I'm going to do that later. So when we talk about the solution, you can see that on the manual solution that there are 3 main steps: calculating the moment, calculating the section properties, and the bending stresses in beams. And I'm just going to copy that here. The equation for the bending moment is simply P multiplied by L, right? I'm going to type in the equation, then I'm going to pick the entire equation and turn that into equation like this. So I'm going to click on this part, and now it is converted into equations, and it would automatically insert those variables into this equation. So the moment is calculated to be 28.8 kilonewton-meter, which is matching the one that we have here, right? Step 2 is going to be section properties. Type in the equation as moment of inertia, and that is going to be 219.5 million, which is the same as the one that we have here. The other property is going to be C, which is half of the height of the section. So again, I'm going to convert that into a variable here, and that's done for this step. Then I'm going to go to the next part, which is determining the bending stress. Sigma is going to be M multiplied by, I have to convert M because it is given in kilonewton, so I'm going to convert that to millimeter by multiplying that by 10 to the 6, multiplied by C divided by I, and that's going to be the bending stress. So that is going to be the bending stress 18.37, which is the one that we have here. So we have solved this problem, and we checked the values with the example values that we had for this case. And then I'm going to go and define the question parts. In that problem, because that is a pretty simple problem, I can simply ask students what is the stress. And in that case, I would just pick that part as the right answer is going to be sigma, and the unit is going to be megapascals. And maybe 1 decimal point is fine. I can increase that to 2 or whatever that I want. And because there is just one part, 100% of the point belongs to this part. By the way, we can define some tags in order to be able to find that problem easier later.
I see. For you, not for the students.
Yes, this is when I want to search the database, that makes it easier, right?
Good.
So I'm going to preview the question over here. This is the problem that we have. And as you can see, those numbers have changed. And let me refresh that to see what's going on if I retake that problem again. You can see those numbers that we have defined have changed, and also the options, and that would allow us to generate different versions for that problem. Now let's say we want to, this is a complex problem, and we want to divide that into multiple parts. For instance, say we want to ask students determine what is the moment of inertia, all right? In that case, on that statement, I'm gonna remove this part because that is the last step that we want to have. And I'm going to define a new step. And over here, I'm going to say what is the maximum bending stress. So this is going to be sigma, and that would be this part. And then on the first part, I'm going to say what is the moment of inertia. Or we can say what is the moment, doesn't matter. We want to guide students to find the answer. And in that case, I is going to be the answer. But this is going to be a little bit long. So instead of that, I'm going to define a new variable here. I is 6 is I divided by 1 million, because that might be easier for students to read. So that is going to be 219.5. And then I'm going to set that as the answer. And then the unit here is going to be this number multiplied by 10 to the power of 6. This is the way that we can define to the power here. Now, if I preview this question here, we can see that there are two parts. So we can see these are the possible values for the moment of inertia. And then the next part is asking for what is the maximum stress. So in that way, we are actually helping students to get the answer for the complex problems. Here we had multiple choice, but we can also ask students to type in their answers, like for the moment of inertia, or the last part, let's change that into numeric instead of multiple choice. And in that case, if we preview the question one more time, we can see that the second part now has changed to a box that students need to type in the answer. So say, this is the answer that I enter here, and it says that no, it is wrong, and this is the right answer. It is going to show the solution to students with the details. And again, you can set a time after that, they would be able to see what is the right answer. So this is a way for creating the question. Say we want to export this question to Canvas or other learning management systems like Blackboard or other systems. Over here, I can export this and say I want to have 25 different versions. And that's it. It is gonna save a file as a zip file, and I can import that directly to the learning management system. And then I would have a bank of questions in which there are same problem, but with multiple versions.